I thought our long-distance relationship was finally getting real. Instead, I got dumped. And then, next to a trash can on a cold New York street, I found a woman curled into a ball. She was gorgeous, the kind of beautiful that stops traffic, but her face was flushed and her whole body was trembling. Being a decent guy, I took off my jacket and draped it over her. That was my mistake. She clung to me like I was a life raft, her cheek rubbing desperately against the back of my hand. Then she licked me. Oh yes, that feels good. So much better. Just as I was about to scream, thinking I'd stumbled on some kind of psycho, a few guys in black suits appeared out of nowhere and pinned me to the spot. Don't move. Our miss is having an episode. Since you've already made contact, just let her get her fill. I was like, what? You're telling me I get paid to do this? It felt too good to be true. I stepped out of Penn Station with my duffel bag in hand, my heart pounding with excitement. I shot my girlfriend, Ashley, a text. Hey babe, guess where I am? My phone buzzed almost instantly. Where? The coffee shop under your office building. Come down, I have a surprise for you. I waited for half an hour before she finally strolled in. I stood up, ready to sweep her into a hug, but she took a half step back, avoiding me. What are you doing here? You didn't even say you were coming. Her tone wasn't surprised, just annoyed. The smile froze on my face. I missed you, so I came. What's wrong? Aren't you happy to see me? It's not that. Come on, I'll take you to your hotel. She kept her distance from me, wouldn't even let me hold her hand. That knot of dread in my stomach got tighter and tighter. All this way from Columbus, over 500 miles, a 16-hour bus ride, just for the cold shoulder. The Uber ride was so quiet it was suffocating. I tried to break the tension. You've been busy with work? You look like you've lost weight. She just stared out the window. MHM was all she said. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed her hand. Ashley, what the hell is going on? Is there something wrong with us? She finally turned to me, pulling her hand away. Her eyes were as cold as if she were looking at a stranger. Ethan, let's break up. My brain just went static. What did you say? I said. We're breaking up, she repeated, her voice completely devoid of emotion. You're too immature. You can't give me the life I want. I tried to reason with her. What do you mean, immature? I've been saving every penny for you, planning to move to New York and get a job at the end of the year. We were supposed to build a life together, remember? She suddenly pointed out the window at a red sports car that zipped past, a look of contempt and longing on her face I'd never seen before. See that? That's a Ferrari. My new boyfriend is Kayla Vance, of a New York Van Cess. What do you have to compete with that? You're just a small-town hick who's too cheap to even buy a plane ticket. Hick. The word hit me like a gut punch. I stared at her, this woman I'd loved for 3 years, the woman I thought I was going to marry. Her face was ugly, unrecognizable. She had taken my heart and ground it into the dirt under her heel. My dignity? Gone. I didn't say another word. I didn't beg. The car pulled up to the hotel. I got out, grabbed my bag. She didn't even bother to look at me as the Uber sped away, erasing our 3 years together like they never happened. Alone, I dragged my heavy bag through the glittering streets of Manhattan like a ghost, lost and out of place. I ended up on a bench in a park by the East River, staring at the skyscrapers and the endless river of lights. Turns out, reality can beat you to a bloody pulp. A cold wind cut through me, and I shivered, deciding to head back. As I stood up, I noticed a figure huddled by a trash can nearby. It was a woman, shivering in a thin dress on this crisp autumn night. I hesitated, then walked over. Up close, I could see she was stunningly beautiful, but her face was flushed red, her breathing ragged. She looked like she was in serious pain. Sick? Drunk? I took off my jacket and gently draped it over her shoulders. Then, I reached out to feel her forehead, to check for a fever. The second my skin touched hers, her eyes flew open. She grabbed my hand like a drowning person grabbing a piece of driftwood, her grip impossibly strong. I yelped, trying to pull back, but she wouldn't let go. The next thing that happened completely freaked me out. She buried her face in the back of my hand, rubbing against it frantically, a soft sigh of pleasure escaping her throat. Then she licked me. The warm, wet sensation sent a jolt through my entire body. Yes, that's it. So good. Better than the meds. I can't go back. I can't go back. My mind was reeling. What the hell was happening? Had I found some kind of freak? I tried to yank my hand free, but she just held on tighter. Just as I was about to yell for help, A group of burly guys in black suits rushed over. When they saw us, their faces went pale. "Miss," they cried, hurrying to her side. I thought my saviors had arrived. I was about to explain when one of the bodyguards spun around, grabbed my shoulder, and pinned me in place. "Don't move. Better you than us, pal." Another one grabbed my head and forced it down towards the woman's face. Cheek to cheek, nose to nose. I could smell the expensive perfume on her skin, feel the heat of her breath. I was completely stunned. What kind of bizarre movie had I walked into? The feeling of my cheek against hers made the woman let out an even more satisfied murmur. Her trembling stopped, and her breathing started to even out. After a few minutes, she loosened her grip on my head, a sliver of clarity returning to her eyes. "Bring him back with me," she said, her voice cool and commanding. Before I could even process what was happening, two bodyguards had me by the arms, half carrying, half dragging me into a black Rolls-Royce. The car sped off, pulling up to a brilliantly lit mansion nestled on a hillside overlooking the city. I was escorted inside and locked in a bedroom bigger than my entire apartment back in Columbus. Two stone-faced guards stood outside the door. My panic finally gave way to a cold, hard fear. Had I gotten tangled up in some kind of mob drama? Was I about to be murdered? Harvested for organs? The more I thought, the more terrified I became. I started frantically searching for an escape route. The windows were barred, the door was guarded. I was trapped. I spent the next few hours in a state of pure terror. Sometime after midnight, the door opened, and the woman walked in. She'd changed into a silk robe, and without makeup, she looked even more ethereally beautiful. She sat down on the sofa, elegantly crossing two long, perfect legs that seemed to glow in the lamplight. She studied me like I was a piece of merchandise. "Relax," she said. It was the first thing she'd said directly to me. "I'm not going to kill you." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "But for the sake of my reputation, you'll be living here from now on. I'll take care of you." "Istère de here, dom fund." "What? That's kidnapping. I'm calling the cops." I scrambled to my feet, but my legs were still shaking too much from fear to hold me properly. She let out a small, humorless laugh and stood up, walking towards me. The click-clack of her heels on the hardwood floor sounded like a countdown. She stopped right in front of me and reached out, tapping my cheek gently with the back of her fingers. "Don't be afraid." The moment her skin touched mine, her eyes went hazy again, and a low, suppressed moan escaped her lips. "So good. Ahem." She snatched her hand back like she'd been burned, her icy composure snapping back into place. She looked at me, her voice certain. "See? You can't leave." I stared at her, completely bewildered. She took 2 steps back, sat down on the sofa again, and poured herself a glass of red wine. "My name is Celeste Vance. Since I was a child, I've had a rare condition. You might call it skin hunger. Basically, if I go too long without physical contact with another person, I experience excruciating pain. It feels like my insides are on fire. It's a living hell. For years, I've managed it with medication, but the side effects are severe, and my body is reaching its limit." I listened, stunned. It sounded like something out of a fantasy novel. She took a sip of wine, her eyes taking on a feverish, almost manic glint. "Until tonight. Until I met you. Do you have any idea what it felt like when your hand touched my forehead? I've never experienced anything like it in my life. It was like a sudden downpour on a parched, cracked desert. My soul felt like it was going to fly out of my body. I can't go back. I'm never taking those damn pills again." She shot up from the sofa and rushed towards me, cupping my face in her hands. Her face was inches from mine, her hot breath on my skin. "From now on, you are my medicine." And then she kissed me, her soft lips tasting of wine, pried mine open with a surprising force. My mind went blank, my body rigid as a board. The kiss went on for a long, long time. When it ended, a thin, silvery strand of saliva connected our lips. She licked her own, her eyes filled with an undisguised possessiveness. "Starting today, you're my human antidote. Don't even think about running away. Be a good boy and stay. Be my husband." My heart was hammering against my ribs, a chaotic mix of shock, humiliation, and a strange, unnerving flutter. Later that night, she informed me that I would be sleeping with her. "My bed is huge. You can have half. I can take the guest room." She raised an eyebrow. And if I have an attack in the middle of the night and die, will you take responsibility? I had no response to that. So, I found myself lying next to her, stiff as a corpse, barely daring to breathe. She, on the other hand, fell asleep almost instantly, clinging to me like an octopus. In her sleep, she would unconsciously nuzzle against my cheek or lick my neck. Humiliated and hot, my body betrayed me with an infuriatingly predictable reaction. I didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, I woke up with two massive dark circles under my eyes. Staring in the mirror at the faint, dried saliva marks on my face and neck, I wanted to die of shame. Celeste, however, looked radiant, completely satisfied, her skin practically glowing. "That was the best night's sleep I've had in my entire life," she said with genuine awe. I gritted my teeth. Glad to hear it. At breakfast, I cautiously tested the waters. Miss Vance, my luggage is still at the hotel. I was thinking of going to get it. I put extra emphasis on the word hotel, hoping to imply that I was just a tourist who needed to grab his stuff and go home. Celeste paused, her coffee cup halfway to her lips. She looked up, her eyes suddenly sharp. "I'll take you." "Oh, no, I can go myself." "No trouble," I said, waving my hands frantically. "I'm afraid you'll run," she said coolly, setting her cup down. My heart sank. She stood up, looking down at me. "Ethan, I know the last couple of days have probably been a shock. But right now, you're my only cure. I can't let you go. And it's not like I could just go around touching any random guy. Since you were the first. And by first, I mean the first to hold my hand and touch my face. I've decided you're the one." Her logic was so insane, I couldn't even argue with it. I gave up on escaping, at least for now. I got in her car, a black sedan. The lavish interior made my head spin, giving me my first real sense of just how obscenely wealthy Celeste Vance was. The Ferrari Ashley had pointed out yesterday looked like a toy next to this thing. I felt a complicated swirl of emotions. We arrived at the hotel a short time later. And of course, just my luck. The moment I stepped out of the car, I saw Ashley standing at the hotel entrance, clinging to the arm of a guy who had to be Caleb Vance. It looked like they were waiting for me. She saw me get out of the top-of-the-line luxury car and froze for a second. Then, a loud, mocking laugh erupted from her. Her voice was loud enough for everyone in the vicinity to hear. Well, Ethan, still trying to save face. You little hick. Get your heart broken and decide to splurge. Rent a fancy car and hire an escort to make yourself feel better. Pathetic. Does it make you feel like a big man?" The escort she was referring to was obviously Celeste, standing right beside me. I saw red. A wave of fury shot through me. I strode forward, raised my hand, and slapped her across the face. Crack! The sharp sound silenced the entire street. Ashley clutched her cheek, staring at me in disbelief. "You hit me. We're broken up. Watch your mouth," I said, my voice dangerously low. "Next time you pull a stunt like this, it'll be more than just a slap." She was actually frightened by my expression and took a step back, trying to threaten me. You just wait. You just wait until my boyfriend gets here. You're just a nobody. Let's see how you handle him." Not daring to yell at me anymore, she turned to Celeste, putting on a show of sincere advice. "Ma'am, you really shouldn't let him fool you. He's just a poor loser from the middle of nowhere. I just dumped him yesterday. If he had any money, do you think I would have broken up with him? You should really open your eyes." She completely ignored the powerful, unapproachable aura radiating from Celeste. I was furious, but also curious. I wanted to see how Celeste would react. This idiot had no idea who she was messing with. Before I could say anything, Celeste stepped forward and languidly looped her arm through mine. She rested her head gently on my shoulder and gave Ashley a faint, dismissive smile. "Whether he has money or not is irrelevant. What's important is that I want him now. He's mine." Her voice was soft, but every word carried an undeniable weight of authority. Ashley's face went white. "Besides," Celeste added, "money isn't important." Ashley was speechless, then pointed a trembling finger at Celeste. "You ungrateful bitch. I was trying to help you." She turned and fled. Watching her scramble away, I felt a surge of satisfaction unlike anything I'd ever felt before. "Thanks," I said quietly to Celeste. "Don't mention it," she said, letting go of my arm and reverting to her usual icy demeanor. "I just don't want my medicine being contaminated by trash." Back in the hotel room, I started packing my bag in a thick, awkward silence. Suddenly, a soft, hot body pressed against me from behind, wrapping me in a tight embrace. Her hot breath, quick and ragged, ghosted across my neck. Her body was trembling slightly. "I think I'm having another episode," she whispered. Her voice was laced with a desperate, suppressed moan, and her tongue began to trace a path along my neck and behind my ear. The warm, ticklish sensation made the hair on my arm stand up. My body went rigid. Here we go again. I sighed in resignation and turned, ready to lie down on the bed and resume my duties as a human teddy bear. But this time, that wasn't enough for her. Her hand started fumbling with the buttons on my shirt. "Too many clothes," she mumbled. She was forceful, yanking my jacket off and leaving me in just a thin t-shirt. She pushed me onto the bed and climbed on top of me, burying her hot face in the crook of my neck, rubbing against my skin. "Still not enough. I need more," she whispered. Between her soft licks and hot breath, utterly exhausted from the previous night's lack of sleep, I actually started to drift off. In my hazy, half-asleep state, I felt her shifting restlessly against me. On instinct, I tightened my arms, pulling her closer, and patted her back gently like I was soothing a child. When I woke up again, it was dark outside. A single, dim lamp was on by the bed. Celeste was lying on my chest, her bright, shining eyes wide open, just watching me. When she saw I was awake, a triumphant little smile played on her lips. "You held me first this time." I blinked, remembering my dreamlike actions. She leaned in, her nose touching mine, her voice holding a playful threat. "Don't you ever think about running away again, or I'll go to the police and tell them you used me and threw me away." I was completely floored by her shameless, reverse psychology logic. Used her and threw her away? Who was the one doing the using here? Looking at her possessive, cunning eyes, I found I had no fight left in me. I looked at her face, so close to mine, at the victory shining in her eyes, and let out a long, defeated sigh. "I won't run. Why would I run? I've got a sugar mama taking care of me now," I said with a self-deprecating smirk. The words "sugar mama" made Celeste's perfect eyebrows furrow for a second, but they smoothed out just as quickly, and her cool, commanding voice took on a teasing tone. "Such an ugly term. From now on, you are my exclusive prescription, my personal mobile antidote, a lifetime supply." I just stared at her, speechless. Then, as if struck by a brilliant idea, she pulled out a small, elegant notebook and a fountain pen. She looked as serious as if she were about to sign a multi-billion-dollar contract. "To ensure your cooperation in this treatment, we need to set some clear prices." My jaw dropped. Was this for real? She opened the notebook and began to scribble with intense focus. "I've done some research. To properly incentivize you, and to ensure you have no other worries, we'll operate on a pay-per-use basis." She cleared her throat, announcing the terms like a royal decree. "Holding hands, $1,000 per session. Hugging, $10,000. A kiss, $100,000. She paused, looking up at me, her expression turning a little sly. "As for the more in-depth treatments like last night and just now, larger contact area, longer duration, better results. We'll start those at $1 million. No upper limit. It will depend on my level of satisfaction and your performance." My mouth hung open. My entire view of the world was being systematically dismantled and reassembled. Was I a kept man? No, this was better. I wasn't just getting paid, I was getting room and board. Who in their right mind would turn this down? Looking at her earnest, "Aren't I so thoughtful" expression, I suddenly found it hilarious. I clutched my chest dramatically, pretending to be deeply insulted, though my eyes were sparkling. "Ma'am, what do you take me for? Do I look like that kind of shallow person?" My over-the-top acting seemed to stun her for a moment. I pressed on, sighing with theatrical sorrow. "It's not about the money. I'm just a generous person. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, because I pity you." A snort escaped her lips, and then she couldn't hold it in anymore. She burst out laughing. The Ice Queen melted in an instant, laughing so hard she had to hold her stomach, looking like a little girl who'd just gotten the toy she always wanted. She leaned over and planted a hard kiss on my cheek. "You smooth talker. Bank account number." I rattled it off. She picked up her phone and tapped a few times. A minute later, my phone buzzed with a text from my bank. A direct deposit of $10,000 has been made to your checking account, ending in XXXX. Your new balance is $10, 123.50. 10 grand. Just like that. I stared at the numbers, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside me. Shock, absurdity, and a tiny, thrilling flutter of joy. That's a down payment. A retainer, Celeste said, putting her phone away, her cool facade back in place, though the smile hadn't quite left her eyes. She reached out and pinched my cheek. Pleasure doing business with you, my delicious medicine. Looking at her, for the first time, I thought maybe this crazy, possessive ice queen wasn't so bad after all, mainly because she paid really, really well. Since we'd slept all afternoon at the hotel, it was early evening by the time Celeste and I finally packed up, ready to check out and move me into her mansion for good. I should have known it wouldn't be that simple. As soon as we got to the lobby, they were there. Ashley had really brought Caleb Vance back. It was obvious she wouldn't rest until she had humiliated me completely. Seeing me with my duffel bag, she immediately assumed I was out of cash and about to crawl back to Ohio with my tail between my legs. She stormed over, blocking my path. You thought you could just hit me and run? I knew you were still hiding up there. Got you now. She pointed at me, yelling for the benefit of everyone in the lobby. My boyfriend's here. You are so dead. Caleb walked over with his arm around Ashley's waist, looking smug. He looked like a conquering hero, about to deliver the final verdict on his defeated rival. Hey, pal. Got some nerve, huh? Putting your hands on my woman. He was about to launch into a tirade when his eyes landed on Celeste standing next to me. The arrogant smirk on his face froze solid. It was like someone had hit the pause button on a movie. His expression shifted from pride to disbelief, then to pure, unadulterated terror. The color drained from his face. Ashley, oblivious, was still shaking his arm, whining. Baby, that's him. My pathetic ex. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and he hit me. You have to teach him a lesson for me. She was clearly expecting a scene from a romance novel, where the billionaire boyfriend throws his money around and has his thugs break my legs. Instead, Caleb's own legs looked like they were about to give out. He stammered, squeezing the words out from between his teeth. Celeste. His voice was barely a whisper, but in the quiet lobby, it was crystal clear. What are you doing here? Celeste gave him a look so cold it could freeze fire, like she was observing an insect on the sidewalk. He's with me, she said, gesturing to me. Her voice was flat, but it held an absolute authority. He's a highly paid consultant I've retained for a personal project. If you have a problem with him, then I'll have to have a chat with your father. Maybe your branch of the family has been getting too large a share of the profits this year. Her voice was quiet, but it made Caleb flinch violently. The word profits was clearly a kill switch. He shoved Ashley away from him so hard she stumbled. Then he spun around and slapped her across the face. Crack! The slap was even louder and harder than the one I'd given her. Shut up, you stupid woman. Caleb roared at Ashley. Then he immediately turned back to Celeste, bowing and scraping. Celeste, I am so sorry. I had no idea he was with you. I was just messing around with her, I swear. I'll break it off with her right now. He grabbed a stunned Ashley and started dragging her towards the door, cursing at her. Get the hell out of my sight. You do nothing but cause trouble, you idiot. You almost ruined me. Ashley, clutching her red, swollen cheek, looked completely shell-shocked. She couldn't understand why Caleb was so terrified of this woman. More than that, she couldn't understand why this woman would protect me, the hick she'd thrown away. Looking at her shattered, confused face, I felt only one thing: pure, unadulterated satisfaction. That slap felt even better than the one I'd delivered myself. I officially moved into Celeste's mansion. The room she gave me was right next to her master bedroom, for the convenient purpose of emergency treatments, as she put it. And so our strange life together began. During the day, Celeste was an untouchable queen. She spent most of her time in her study, a ruthless and efficient businesswoman who never smiled. The entire mansion operated under a cloud of high pressure. Even the housekeeper and butler tiptoed around. I felt like a prisoner in a castle, afraid to breathe too loudly. With nothing else to do, I channeled my energy into the kitchen. Using the skills I'd picked up cooking for Ashley over the years, I made a full dinner: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a salad. At the dinner table, Celeste looked at the spread of classic comfort food with a flicker of surprise. She picked up her fork and tried a bite of everything. "It's adequate," she said, but she didn't stop eating until every plate was clean and the salad bowl was empty. It was the first time we'd sat down and eaten together like normal people. The tension eased, replaced by a comfortable domestic warmth. That night, she didn't have an episode, but she still insisted on preventative treatment, dragging me into her room to watch a movie with her. Giant projection screen, plush beanbag chairs. She insisted on lying with her head in my lap, claiming it was to recharge her base energy levels. What could I say? The customer is always right. The movie was some complicated thriller that I found myself dozing off to. She, however, was completely engrossed. I glanced over at her phone, which she'd left unlocked on the cushion next to her. The screen showed a paused video. The thumbnail was two men, shirtless, locked in an intimate embrace. I was instantly wide awake. My heart skipped a beat. Holy crap, this is what she watches. My mind immediately concocted a wild soap opera plot where the powerful ice queen falls for me only to recruit me into her all-male harem. She must have noticed me looking because she snatched the phone like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, frantically locking the screen. Her cool expression returned, but her ears were bright red. "What are you looking at?" she hissed, all bark and no bite. "Keep looking and I'll gouge your eyes out." Seeing her flustered and embarrassed, I suddenly realized this untouchable queen wasn't so scary after all. She was actually kind of cute. In the middle of the night, I was woken by a noise from the next room. A suppressed groan, followed by the sound of something hitting the wall. My stomach clenched. She was having an attack. I burst into her room to find her curled up on the floor, banging her head against the wall over and over. Her forehead was already bruised and bleeding. I rushed over and wrapped my arms around her from behind. "Celeste, wake up." She struggled against me, her strength frightening. It wasn't until I managed to lift her completely off the floor, pressing her tightly against my chest, that she slowly began to calm down. She buried her face in my shoulder and started to cry, small, quiet sobs, nuzzling against me like a tiny, wounded animal. "Medicine, don't go," she whispered. "It hurts. It hurts so much." Hearing the raw pain in her voice, something inside me cracked open and softened. The next day, Celeste wore a bandage on her forehead and seemed to be actively avoiding my gaze. After last night, the atmosphere between us had changed. At breakfast, I couldn't contain my curiosity any longer. "Hey, that guy, Caleb, why is he so scared of you? Are you his sister or something?" Celeste paused, her spoon hovering over her oatmeal. She looked up, and for the first time, her gaze was calm, without any of the usual command or desire. "You want to know?" I nodded. She put down her spoon and wiped her mouth. "Come with me." She led me to her study and made 2 cups of tea. It was the first time she'd ever voluntarily spoken to me about her family. "The Vance family," she began, "looks glamorous on the outside, but it's been fractured for years. There's the main branch, and then there are the side branches. My grandfather is the current head of the family. My father is his only son, and I am my father's only daughter. That makes me the sole heir to the main Vance fortune. Caleb, on the other hand, his grandfather was my grandfather's cousin. Their line was separated from the main family long ago. His family is just one of many side branches that depend on us. Their companies, their connections, their wealth. It all exists because we allow it to. Their entire lives are lived at our discretion." I was speechless. Looking at her com profile as she explained all this, I found myself saying sincerely, "Thank you for what you did at the hotel, for protecting a hick like me from that humiliation." She froze for a second, then quickly turned her head away, picking up her teacup. "I was just protecting my investment. I can't have my medicine getting damaged." She tried to sound tough, but the tips of her ears, now a telltale shade of crimson, completely betrayed her. A warm feeling spread through my chest. That night, she requested another treatment, but this time it was different. She wasn't aggressive or demanding. She just lay quietly in my arms, her face buried in my chest, like a cat seeking shelter from a storm. I could feel the tension drain out of her body, feel her complete and utter trust in me. In the darkness, on some strange impulse, I reached up and gently patted her back, soothing her like a frightened child. Her body went stiff for a fraction of a second. Then she clung to me even tighter, as if trying to merge our bodies into one. Ethan, her muffled voice came from my chest. Yeah, from now on, you're not allowed to let any other woman touch you, not even a single hair. Her voice was quiet, but held the unyielding command of a queen. I looked down at the top of her head, at her dark, silky hair, and was silent for a moment. Okay, I heard myself whisper. She seemed satisfied with my answer, nuzzling against my chest. You can only be my medicine. She suddenly lifted her head. In the dim light, her eyes were shining with a frightening intensity. She made a throat-slitting gesture. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind making you disappear from this world. There was again the possessive psycho threat. But this time I wasn't scared at all. In fact, I found it kind of funny. I held up my hands in surrender. As long as my sugar mama doesn't kick me out and keeps paying me, I'll be your one and only antidote. Deal. That's more like it, she said, satisfied. She settled back down, finding a comfortable spot in my arms. That night, I slept better than I had in years. A few days later, I learned from Mr. Henderson, the butler, that Celeste's birthday was next week. The Vance family was throwing a massive gala in her honor. Mr. Cole, as Miss Vance's escort, you will also be required to attend, he told me respectfully. I froze. Her escort? I glanced towards her study, a strange feeling blooming in my chest. But that feeling was quickly followed by a tidal wave of anxiety. A birthday gala meant a birthday gift. What could I possibly give her? This woman had everything. Sports cars, jewelry, designer bags. Any single one of her possessions was worth more than my entire life savings. Using the money she gave me to buy her some luxury item felt pointless, even insulting. For days I was so stressed about it I could barely eat. Celeste noticed. What's wrong? Is the medicine losing its potency? You're not eating, she asked, pinching my cheek with a frown. I shook my head. Nothing. Just not used to the bed yet. She gave me a skeptical look, but didn't push it. I had noticed that despite her powerful exterior, her illness kept her in a constant state of high alert. She was a light sleeper, often waking up in the middle of the night. Even with me there, the frequency of her attacks had lessened, but it hadn't cured the deep-seated anxiety within her. An idea began to form in my mind. The next day, under the pretense of going for a walk, I slipped out of the mansion. I spent the day visiting specialty shops and lumberyards all over the city, buying a selection of calming herbs and spices and a block of high-quality sandalwood. For the next few days, I locked myself in my room whenever I had a spare moment. Using the basic woodworking skills my grandpa had taught me back home, I began to clumsily carve a small wooden figure. I want to carve a little version of me, something she could hold, something that would bring her comfort. I also took the herbs I'd bought and, following a recipe from an old book, ground them up and hand-stitched them into a small sachet. The night before the gala, I finally finished my gift. The little wooden figure was sanded smooth. The craftsmanship was rough, but you could kind of see my face in it. I tucked the sachet of herbs inside the hollowed-out figure. Holding the gift, which was crudely wrapped in brown paper, I knocked on Celeste's door. She was in the middle of a face mask. Seeing the package in my hands, she raised an eyebrow. What's this? Birthday present. She peeled off the mask and took the simple package, a look of distaste on her face. When she opened it, she frowned. A little wooden man, but when she brought the figure closer to her nose and inhaled the faint, clean scent rising from it, she froze. It was a complex aroma of sandalwood, lavender, and other herbs, a gentle, calming scent that instinctively eased the tension in your shoulders. Seeing her stunned expression, I joked, it's a supplementary treatment. Of course, I'm the main prescription. This is just a catalyst. It won't work without me. I explained that the figure and the sachet were designed to help her sleep. She was silent for a long time, just staring down at the little wooden figure in her hands, her expression unreadable. Just when I thought she hated it and was about to make an awkward exit, she licked her lips and looked up at me. Her eyes had that familiar look again, predatory, possessive. Well, what are we waiting for? She whispered, crooking a finger at me, her voice husky. Back to my room. We have to test its efficacy. I stood there, stunned into silence by her sudden, shameless proposition. Maybe we should wait? The party is tomorrow. I'm afraid I won't be able to stand up straight. She laughed softly, stepping towards me. She grabbed my tie and pulled me close. No. Her breath was warm against my ear, her tone absolute. We have to test it now. Otherwise, how will I know if your gift is a cheap trick or if it actually works? The next thing I knew, I was being pulled into her room and the door slammed shut behind us. Well, damn, it was going to be a long night. The next day, I had to use the wall for support as I limped out of Celeste's room. My back ached, my legs felt like jelly. Celeste, on the other hand, was glowing. She was in an exceptionally good mood, picking out a stunning white tuxedo for me and personally tying my tie. Perfect. Very handsome, she said, admiring our reflection in the mirror. In the mirror, I saw myself in a perfectly tailored suit, standing tall and straight. And beside me was Celeste, poured into a magnificent wine-red evening gown that hugged her curves in all the right places. She looked regal, radiant. Standing together, we actually looked like we belonged. It all felt so unreal. A few months ago, I was a broke kid agonized over the price of bus ticket. Now, I was about to walk into a high society gala as the date of the most powerful heiress in New York City. The party was held at the city's most exclusive five-star hotel. The entrance was a parade of luxury cars. The guests were the city's elite, dripping with wealth and glamour. I had Celeste on my arm, and as I stepped into that world for the first time, I was surprised to find that I was perfectly calm. Maybe it was because the woman beside me gave me all the confidence I needed. Just as we reached the ballroom entrance, we stumbled upon a scene straight out of soap opera. Ashley was on her knees on the marble floor. She was desperately clinging to Caleb Vance's pant leg, her makeup smeared with tears, a complete and utter mess. "Caleb, please, don't break up with me," she sobbed. "I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Just give me one more chance." Caleb's face was a mask of disgust and irritation. He kicked her hand away, so hard she fell backward. "Get off me, you psycho," he snapped, brushing his pant leg as if she contaminated it. "Do you know where you are? Do I even know you? We role-played a few times, and you thought it was real? You almost got my family ruined. My dad almost broke my legs, and you still have the nerve to follow me around." As Ashley scrambled on the floor, she looked up and saw us. She saw me, saw Celeste on my arm, saw the way we were touching, saw the suit I was wearing that was worth more than she'd make in a year. She shot up from the floor like she'd been electrocuted. Jealousy and rage made her lose what little sense she had left. She had to find some way, any way, to reclaim her last shred of dignity in front of me. She pointed a shaking finger at me and screamed at the security guards by the door. "Are you blind? That's a hick. Get out of here. Miss Vance booked the whole hotel tonight. Someone like him doesn't belong here." She had no idea who tonight's party was really for. I just watched her, calm as anything, a clown putting on a show. Before the security guards could even move, Caleb did. He saw the Arctic chill in Celeste's eyes and looked like he was about to have a heart attack. In a desperate act of self-preservation, he reacted. He lunged forward and backhanded Ashley across the face with all his might. Smack! The sound echoed through the entrance hall, silencing everyone. "You idiot! Shut your mouth!" Caleb screamed, his eyes wild. He pointed at her, his voice shaking with fury. "Do you have any idea whose birthday party this is?" He spun on the bewildered guards. "What are you standing around for? Get this crazy woman out of here before she offends the guests of honor. Can you afford to take that responsibility?" Ashley was completely stunned by the slap. She held her face, shaking her head in a daze, still screaming hysterically. "How can he be here? He has no right." She couldn't accept it. It shattered her entire worldview. The broke loser she discarded couldn't possibly be an honored guest at a place like this. Caleb was done with her. He instantly transformed, his face a mask of groveling servitude. He scurried over to me and bowed a full 90 degrees, his voice booming so everyone could hear. "Bro-in-law, I'm so sorry you had to see that. It's my fault. I didn't handle her properly. Please come in. Right this way." The words bro-in-law hit the crowd like a bomb. Every single head in the vicinity swiveled to stare at me. Shock, curiosity, envy. I was the center of everyone's universe. Celeste's lips curved into a satisfied smile. She tightened her grip on my arm and, like a queen surveying her kingdom, walked past the chaos and into the glittering ballroom without a backward glance. Ashley's screams and sobs faded as she was mercilessly dragged away by security. Her dream of marrying into New York high society had just been shattered into a million pieces. At the peak of the evening, Celeste, as the guest of honor, stood on the stage, champagne flute in hand. She pulled me up to stand beside her, facing the cream of New York's high society. "Thank you all for coming to my birthday party tonight," she said, her cool, clear voice echoing through the hall. "And I'd also like to make a formal introduction." She raised our intertwined hands high, a proud, happy smile lighting up her face. "This is my fiancé, Ethan Cole." The room erupted. Under the spotlights, I was the undisputed star of the show. All these people I'd once thought I'd never even be in the same room with were now applauding for me. It felt good. Damn good. But what I cared about more was the woman beside me. Her hand was gripping mine tightly, her palm slightly damp. I knew she was nervous, too. She was announcing my existence to her world, and in doing so, announcing her greatest vulnerability. I squeezed her hand back and whispered in her ear, "Thank you, honey." Celeste blushed and shot me a playful glare. "We're not married yet. Don't call me that." But she couldn't hide the smile that danced on her lips. Halfway through the party, amidst the clinking glasses and polite chatter, Celeste tugged on my sleeve. I looked down and saw her face was flushed, her breathing a little too quick. "What's wrong? You don't feel well?" She bit her lip, her eyes hazy as she looked at me. "Too many people. I feel sick." Oh, crap. She was having an attack. Today had been too much excitement, and being surrounded by so many people must have triggered her skin hunger. "Quick, take me home." She was leaning her full weight on me, her body burning up, her voice cracking. "Ethan, I'm losing control. I want to eat you." I didn't hesitate. I gave a few quick instructions to Mr. Henderson, who was standing nearby. Then, ignoring the gasp from the surrounding guests, I swept her up into my arms and strode out of the ballroom. "Apologies, everyone. Celeste isn't feeling well. We have to go." In this world of power and appearances, nothing was more important than her. I broke every speed limit getting us back to the mansion. The second the front door closed behind us, Celeste lost it completely. She wrapped herself around me like an octopus, frantically tearing at my clothes, desperate for my warmth. "Ethan, help me. I need you. Now." Her rational mind was gone, consumed by a primal, desperate need. I carried her into the bedroom and dropped her onto the huge, soft bed. Before I could even catch my breath, she was on me like a starving animal. This treatment was more intense, more wild than any before. But this time, I wasn't passive or resistant. This time, as she took what she needed, I gave back, my responses clumsy but gentle. It wasn't one-sided anymore. It was two people meeting in the middle. I don't know how much time passed, but eventually, the storm subsided. Celeste lay exhausted in my arms, sleeping deeply like a contented cat. Looking at her peaceful face, my heart swelled with a feeling of tenderness and affection. She was sick, truly, desperately sick, and I was her only cure, a cure I was more than willing to be. The next morning, sunlight streamed through a gap in the curtains. I opened my eyes to find Celeste lying on my chest, tracing lazy circles on my skin with her finger. "You're awake?" she purred, smiling like the cat that got the cream. "Yeah, you feeling better?" "Much better," she said, leaning in to give me a deep kiss. "It seems last night's dosage was quite effective. Should last me a couple of days. After that, you'd better be ready for me." I looked at her, glowing and refreshed, then considered my own completely drained body and put on a look of mock despair. "Oh God, Celeste, next time you've got to buy me some supplements or something. Whatever they've got. I'll take anything. I don't think I can keep up with this pace. Playing around a Call of Duty, my hands are shaking so bad I can't even aim straight." Celeste stared at me for a second, then burst into a peal of silvery laughter. She rolled on top of me, tilting my chin up with her fingers, her sultry, commanding voice dripping with dominance. "Nice try. If you take other medicine, you won't be pure anymore. What if you stop working? I prefer an all-natural, organic diet." She licked her lips, her eyes starting to get that dangerous look again. "Besides," she whispered, "you're one prescription I could take for a lifetime and never get tired of."